In this video, we're going to take a look at the impact of COVID-19 on the local Milwaukee real estate market, in particular for sellers. I'm recording this video in the beginning of June 2020, and a lot of people are wondering if it's safe for their families to put the house on the market, and if right now is even a good time to put the house on the market. So we're going to take a look at some data, and I'm going to walk you through the strategies and technology that we're using to conduct a real estate transaction with everybody's safety in mind. Hi, this is Marcus Auerbach with Keller Williams Realty in Mequon, your local real estate expert. On this channel we are covering monthly real estate market updates as well as tips and tricks for homeowners, buyers and sellers. If you're new to this channel, please consider clicking the subscribe button and check the links in the description box below. Of course, we have seen a significant impact from COVID on the local market, but perhaps differently than many would have expected because it was mainly on the seller side. We currently have about 40% less inventory for sale than we had 12 months ago, which translates roughly to about 1,500 single-family homes that are currently not for sale, and that contributes further to the inventory shortage we're seeing in the Greater Milwaukee Area. On the other hand, buyer activity has been down only for a very few short weeks and is now already exceeding even last year's levels. We can see this very clearly in the data from showing time. And this is despite the high unemployment rates. I believe that as more businesses in Milwaukee start opening up again and bringing employees back to work, we will see an even further increase in demand. And on top of that, we currently have historically low interest rates. We know from surveys that a lot of sellers are concerned about their safety and the safety of their family when it comes to putting their home on the market. I would like to share with you some of the things and strategies that we utilize to put a property on the market and get it sold with everybody's safety in mind. And stick around for the end of the video because I would like to share the top 3 things that every seller should be doing to sell their house for top dollar. Number 1, extended professional photography. Now, I've always been a fan of professional pictures, but we're usually limited to the best parts of the property. Now, with this new situation, the goal is to give buyers the complete experience and show them all parts of the listing before they even go to the property. So what we're doing now is that we're including pictures of areas that we typically would not highlight, such as the garage, the basement, the attic, every corner of the yard. The goal basically is to give a buyer the full experience before they even have to go out and schedule a showing and look at the property in person. Number 2, the 3D virtual tour. After a buyer has seen the pictures of the property and they like what they see, they're typically interested in more information, and this is where the virtual tour comes in. We're using a high-end technology provided by Matterport to create a complete 3D high-definition virtual image of a property. A buyer can move around just on their computer or on their cell phone. They can move around freely inside the property and look at it from every angle as if they were there in person. Number 3, social media and online marketing. We use social media and online marketing to drive awareness and to build anticipation for buyers who are already in the market and are just waiting for the right property to pop up. We will typically have a soft launch in social media on a Tuesday that gives us about 2 days to reach people until we have the hard launch on Thursday and building up to the very important first weekend. The goal here is to build urgency and also to drive those buyers that are interested in the property to the virtual content that we have already created. Number 4, smart restrictions on physical showings. So everything we have done so far was in order to reach buyers online and avoid physical showings. But of course, at some point a buyer wants to see a property in person. There are several good ways on how to manage this. We typically work with the seller on a custom-made strategy how to restrict, limit and batch showings in a way that makes sense for the buyer and works with the comfort level and the needs of the seller. We're using an online platform named Showing Time to give access to buyers, show them when the property is available for showings, and to manage and approve individual showings. Number 5, safety protocol for physical showings. The Association of Realtors has developed showing guidelines based on the direction of the CDC, and we're using this as the basis of our showing instructions. Of course, our goal for showings is always to provide the best possible experience for buyers while managing everybody's safety. As part of our showing protocol, for example, we try to limit the number of people having physical access to the property. Usually it's the agent and one, maximum two buyers. Of course, everybody is required to wear a mask, use hand sanitizers, booties and gloves. We usually provide those supplies. Only the agent is allowed to touch surfaces like door handles and light switches. If necessary and required, after a series of showings, a physical disinfection of the property can be completed. Number 6. Safety at closing. After the home inspection and the appraisal have been completed, we're usually on the home stretch to the closing. This used to be a big social gathering with the buyer and the seller, the two respective agents, title companies and lender present. And we're suggesting to do this a little bit differently. So as a seller, you can actually go to the title company and pre-sign your closing documents a couple of days before the actual closing. It's only a very limited number of documents and usually goes very quickly and can even be completed in your car in the parking lot outside if you prefer. On the buyer side, also the number of people is very restricted. We typically only have the closer and one or two buyers in a room that's been freshly sanitized with brand new pans and everything else that can be done to manage everybody's safety. Those were some of the things that we do in order to sell a house in the wake of COVID-19 while keeping everybody safe. Of course, every situation, every property is different, and we like working very closely with our sellers in order to make sure that they're really comfortable with the process. Thank you very much for watching, but before you go, I have the 3 top tips for you in order to get your house ready to put it on the market and sell it for top dollar. Tip number 1 for getting your house ready to list: decluttering and staging. This will have without a doubt not only the biggest impact on your time on market, but also on your net sales price. As a rule of thumb, you should consider to remove about 20 to 30% of the items in your household. Either box them up or put them in storage. You also might want to consider to remove anything that is highly personal to you, like family pictures, for example. Tip number 2 is lighting. Improve your lighting as much as possible. You have natural light, open up your window curtains, make sure you have as much as natural light entering your living spaces as possible. Tip number 2 is taking a look at your light fixtures, and maybe it's time to replace some of these old light bulbs with some newer LED light bulbs that have 3000 Kelvin soft warm light. Tip number 3 would be deep cleaning your house inside and out. So if the idea of cleaning your house seems daunting to you, you could consider hiring a service. Quite frankly, it's not that much money and will be totally worth it because it changes the way your house feels, smells and looks as a buyer is entering and looking at it the first time. And the same is also true for the outside. Nothing screams neglect more than bushes that have not been trimmed or lawn that has not been cut. And the same thing is true here. You can also consider hiring an external service to get your house ready and look neat and clean when you put it on the market. If you're interested in more information and tips and tricks on how to sell your house, consider clicking at the link below and download our free seller's guide. If you want to learn more about the Milwaukee market and market data, take a look at my monthly market update video. Thank you very much for sticking around, and I'll see you next time.